This time on Hand of the Week, Theo Jorgensen makes a mistake pre-flop, and it leads to an avalanche of trouble.
Right. Now, Theo seems like a really cool guy. I think he might be tilting a bit here, and that leads to some pretty bad mistakes. Let's take a look.
Theo has around 10 big blinds, and he has pocket tens.
Looks like he's just going to raise and not open shove.
Raises to 6,000. Ace-4 of diamonds for Sorrentino. He calls.
Shouldn't really be calling when Theo's so short. He's not getting the right odds.
Well, Miltiades Kyriakides has just come to the table. He calls in the small blind with threes.
Same goes for him.
Kai Herald folds the big blind. Three-way to the flop.
Super non-standard spot here where Theo decides not to shove his 10.5 blinds with 2 tens.
There are plenty of advantages to shoving here, and we listed them on the podcast. Just for a little short bullet point here. You know, winning the blinds and antes isn't so bad. That's pretty good. We like that.
We like it a lot.
We can get called by worse hands.
A lot of worse hands.
Yeah, that's good. We can get called by races, which we're fine with at this point. We have 10 blinds. We need to double up.
Yeah, Theo should be really happy to get called by ace-queen here.
Another strange thing about what Theo does here is when he chooses not to shove, he also does not min-raise to preserve his stack or whatever he's trying to do or try to induce. I'm not really sure exactly what he's trying to do.
I mean, it is his standard open size. He's been opening 2.5x the entire time, but it's especially weird to do it when he's this short. If he's trying to get action with tens, which we figure it's got to be what's going on, why is he raising to such a size that's going to dissuade the big blind from calling with the bottom part of his normal calling range?
Yeah, it's a very strange play, and we do go into the podcast a little bit about the tilt factor that's possible here. It might be that Theo's just not really thinking through his normal process because he's just lost 2 big hands to go from a decent-sized stack down to 10 big blinds.
That said, Theo is Theo. He's been around for a long time. He's sort of a consummate pro. This has happened to him a million times before. It should not be affecting his decision-making.
It seems like generally just a pretty clear-cut shove. As far as the calls go, we agree with Joe about Sorrentino. We think generally Theo doesn't have enough chips for Sorrentino to win with a hand like ace-4 suited.
Yeah, and more importantly than even that, it's that Theo's, when he raises this small, is almost always doing it with a pretty strong value hand. Like, it's unlikely he's doing this with 5-6 suited or something like that. So Sorrentino's doing much worse against Theo's range here than he normally might be.
Exactly true. The small blind, we slightly disagree with Joe. We think that he can call because Sorrentino is called, giving him pretty good implied odds with pocket threes.
Yeah, and also he's getting a much better price with that extra money in there.
If you listen to the podcast, you know, we love how the small blind plays this hand.
Theo's a big favorite.
Not anymore. An ace-high flop. Action check to Theo.
See, but now even when you make the best hand with ace-4, it's hard to get value from it. Or maybe not.
Theo bets half his stack, 10,000.
Theo should not be betting here. This flop smashes their calling ranges like a cyclist into a car door.
Sorrentino calls. Kyriakides folds. Heads up to the turn.
And the wackiness continues. This is a very strange bet by Theo.
I mean, this seems like a pretty clear check fold, and the times you're not check folding, I would think you were shoving all in.
Right. I mean, if miraculously neither of your 2 calling opponents of 6,000 pre-flop hit this flop, you can move in and win a decent-sized pot for your stack if you're Theo here. So moving in, I think, is clearly a better play than betting 10,000. But even better would probably be to check fold. You still have 8 blinds. You have some fold equity in the future.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's almost like he's trying to bluff and still save a little bit of his stack if someone actually has an ace. He's like betting to find out where he's at a little bit, right? Like maybe he can just win the pot, and if he doesn't, then he gets to save that last 9,500 in theory, right?
Yeah, I guess so. By the way, I love how the small blind's playing this. Check folding here, perfect.
I mean, ideal. I mean, Sorrentino, I like his call. I think
he's got to call. Once Sorrentino calls pre-flop, he must call on this flop. And Theo's in a weird spot.
I mean, he just puts himself in a weird spot.
I think Theo might be a little frustrated, like a cyclist that's just smashed into a car door.
5 on the turn. Theo with just 5% equity now. He checks.
All in.
And Sorrentino shoves on him. Theo calls all in.
Wow.
Ace is good.
Frustration call.
Yeah.
16.
It doesn't matter.
Theo needs a 10.
Good luck, guys.
2 outs. It's a queen. Raffaele Sorrentino takes out Theo Jorgensen.
So Theo lit a match, and now he has to live with that.
Right. The dumpster fire that Theo lit pre-flop has now consumed his entire family.
Wow, we got pretty dark there, huh? It can't just be a stack. It had to consume his family.
I mean, it's poker metaphors. It's okay. You're allowed to be dark.
All right, yeah, sure.
Anyway, I think that at this point, it's marginal whether or not to call if you're Theo. It's just an awful spot that nobody finds himself in. He's got a 1 to 4.5 stack to pot ratio. There's nothing in the book about that.
I think it's a call. I think you are supposed to check the turn, and call, hoping against hope that either Sorrentino has hearts or that you river a 10. But the pot is humongous. If we fold and we're Theo, we've got less than 4 blinds. We have very little to work with. If we call and we win in one of those two ways, then happy days are here again. We suddenly have 25 blinds and we can work with things,
Moral of the story here is Theo needed to move in pre-flop.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to move in when you've got this short a stack. He might have gotten called by the 3s, although probably not, but maybe, and that would have been good. And instead, this happens.
Anyway, river bricks out, and Theo is reduced to ash. That hand was a great example of how one mistake can lead to future mistakes and possibly even end your tournament. If you guys want to see another stack to pot ratio disaster, check out the Dennis Phillips disaster by clicking here.
Also, if you want to find us on Twitter, Facebook, or just our website, look down below, and don't forget to subscribe.